If their blood failed to ignite beneath the black suns of Nara, then ours shall serve as an adequate replacement. The words reverberated through the emptiness of space, broadcast across countless light years in every direction. A dark vow from the captain of the human warship, Vanguard. The crew, seasoned warriors of unyielding will, understood the gravity of those words. Yet not a single one wavered as the declaration echoed through the steel corridors. They had long awaited this day, their opportunity to confront the Draon, the terror of the stars, and make them pay for their unforgivable crimes. The Girons were conquerors by nature, their domain stretching across dozens of star systems, leaving devastation wherever they tread. Born from darkness and flame, their immense fleets were unstoppable, and their technology so advanced it defied understanding. Entire civilizations had collapsed before their might, species wiped out or enslaved. They had once been myth, little more than ghost stories whispered among the void, until they descended upon the galaxy with a wrath unmatched in all recorded history. But humanity was different. Humans had listened to the tales. They had watched as the Draon consumed neighboring systems, inching ever closer to Earth. There was no denial, no illusions. Where others pleaded for mercy or tried to disappear, mankind readied itself. Earth's resources were rallied. Minds across the globe operated in unison. They understood this wouldn't be a war of diplomacy or compromise. There would be no surrender, no salvation descending from the stars. Only one truth remained. Humanity would survive, but on its own terms. The Vanguard was born from desperation, an engineering marvel unlike anything else in human history. More than just a battleship, it was a juggernaut, designed for complete and total destruction of any who threatened humanity. Armed with weapons capable of warping space, shielded by barriers that could endure a star's fury, and propelled by engines fueled with the energy of 1,000 suns, it was humanity's answer to the Draon plague. Now it flew as humanity's blade, aimed squarely at the heart of the Draon Empire. "Captain, we are nearing the outer perimeter of their defenses," reported Lieutenant Harris, his voice calm, betraying none of the anxiety woven into the ship's tense silence. Captain Marcus Locke nodded, his gaze locked on the display, an endless, cold stretch of space ahead. The Draon defense network was the stuff of legends, a complex mesh of automated turrets, minefields, and patrol craft, which had vaporized countless intruders long before they ever laid eyes on the Draon homeworld. But the Vanguard was no ordinary vessel, and Locke, no ordinary commander. "Activate cloaking," he ordered, his voice as chill as the vacuum outside. The Vanguard shimmered and vanished. Its advanced stealth systems cloaked it in a field of invisibility, rendering it completely undetectable to Draon sensors. To the enemy, there was nothing there, just more silence, more stars. But the humans knew better. They knew the Draon's pride in their superiority had made them blind, unable to comprehend the possibility of a threat that could penetrate their flawless defenses. "We're in position," Harris confirmed. "Deploy the spikes," Locke commanded. Panels along the Vanguard's hull slid open, releasing a barrage of sleek, obsidian black projectiles. They streaked silently through the void, embedding themselves into turrets, satellites, and patrol ships. But these weren't ordinary weapons. They were infiltration units. Upon contact, they burrowed into enemy systems, hijacking software, disabling controls, and seizing command. The once lethal Draon defense grid was swiftly being rewired, converted into an extension of the Vanguard's will. "Spikes are active, Captain," Harris said. "The grid is under our command." "Excellent," Locke replied, a rare smile forming on his lips. "Open fire." But not in the way the Draon expected. No missiles, no lasers. Instead, the Vanguard turned the Draon's own defenses against them. Turrets redirected their fire at each other. Patrol ships were ambushed by their former allies. Mines detonated in choreographed bursts, tearing through Draon positions with brutal precision. The mighty wall of defenses crumbled, without a single shot fired from the Vanguard itself. The crew watched silently as the seemingly invincible barrier fell apart, yet none of them celebrated. They knew this was only the beginning. The Draon would not sit back as their perimeter was dismantled. They would retaliate, and when they did, they would unleash the full wrath of their military colossus. "Captain, incoming transmission from Draon Command," said Harris. "Put it through," Locke responded. The screen flickered, then filled with the face of a Draon warlord. It was a fearsome sight, even to seasoned humans. Encased in segmented dark armor that pulsed with eerie life, the creature's eyes burned with a frozen rage. Its voice was a low, guttural growl, one that made weaker men shudder. "Humans," the warlord spat, the word a venom-laced insult. "You dare challenge the might of the Draon Empire? You are nothing. Your fragile world will be... Your people will burn, and your kind will be enslaved, their bones crushed to dust beneath our feet." Locke's grin returned, colder than the emptiness of space. "You've had your chance, Draon. Now, it belongs to us." Before the warlord could utter a reply, Locke commanded, "Fire!" The vanguard unleashed its full armory, a symphony of devastation echoing through the void of space. Beams of energy sliced through Draon vessels, missiles struck with surgical precision, and the very fabric of the cosmos shimmered as the vanguard's most potent weapons roared to life. The Draon war fleet, once thought invincible, was being dismantled ship by a single human vessel. The warlord's visage flickered briefly before vanishing as his ship was obliterated by a blast from the vanguard's primary cannon. The crew remained silent, aware this was only the opening move in a far greater conflict. Deep within Draon territory, there was no turning back. "Captain," Harris spoke, breaking the quiet, "enemy reinforcements are inbound. Their main fleet is en route." "Excellent," Locke said, his eyes burning with the same icy fire that had filled the Draon warlord's gaze. "Let them come. We'll teach them what it means to confront humanity." The vanguard pivoted toward the heart of the Draon Empire, engines blazing as it surged into the abyss. The crew braced for what lay ahead, the moment they had trained for, the moment they had awaited their entire lives. As stars streaked past, Captain Locke issued the command that would decide the Draon's fate. Full speed ahead. The vanguard tore through the darkness of space, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. The shattered remains of the Draon defense grid drifted lifelessly while the ship accelerated toward its next objective, the Draon homeworld. "Captain, we're detecting the Draon main fleet on an intercept course," Lieutenant Harris reported, his fingers flying across the console. "They'll be within range in 10 minutes. Captain Marcus Locke glanced at the tactical display, his expression unreadable. The Draon fleet was immense, a true armada of death. Battleships the size of small moons, carriers bristling with fighters, cruisers equipped with weapons capable of annihilating entire planets. It was a force designed to crush all opposition, a force that had done so countless times across the galaxy. But this time, they faced something different. "Deploy the drones," Locke ordered calmly. The Vanguard's hull opened once again, releasing a swarm of autonomous drones. These weren't ordinary combat drones used in previous wars. They were experimental, crafted specifically for this mission. Each drone was outfitted with advanced AI, capable of learning and adapting in real time, armed with the most sophisticated weaponry humanity had ever created. The drones surged forward, activating their cloaking systems as they dispersed into a broad formation to intercept the incoming Draon fleet. "We're in for one hell of a fight," Captain Commander Steele remarked, the ship's second in command. He was a battle-hardened veteran, his face marked with the scars of numerous conflicts. If anyone understood what was at stake, it was Steele. Locke nodded, eyes never leaving the tactical readout. "Let them come. This is what we were made for." Minutes passed, each feeling like an eternity. The crew remained silent, tension thick as they watched the blips on the screen draw ever nearer. The Vanguard pressed forward relentlessly, showing no hint of hesitation. At last, the Draon fleet appeared, a staggering sight. An ocean of warships, each more formidable than the last. They moved in perfect synchrony, a testament to the cold precision of the Draon war machine. "All hands, prepare for combat." Locke's command echoed through the corridors. The crew responded immediately, taking their stations, ready to do whatever was necessary to secure victory. The Draon opened fire first, unleashing a barrage of energy beams and missiles that lit up the darkness. The Vanguard's shields flared, absorbing the initial strike, but Locke knew this was only the beginning. "Drones engaging the enemy," Harris reported. The main screen split into multiple views, each showing the perspective of a different drone. The AI-controlled machines weaved skillfully through the Draon fleet, dodging incoming fire with pinpoint accuracy and retaliating with deadly precision. Explosions rippled through the Draon ranks as the drones exploited weak spots, targeting every vulnerability. But the Draon were no strangers to battle. They quickly adapted, coordinating their attacks to shoot down the drones. For every drone we take down, 2 more are lost, Captain Harris reported grimly. Locke's voice remained calm as he responded to the warning. That's acceptable, he said with a steady tone. They've fulfilled their purpose. He pressed a key on his control panel, shifting the tactical display to reveal the true effect of the drone strike. As the drones were destroyed, they emitted a cloud of nanobots, microscopic automatons capable of infiltrating and disabling enemy technology. The nanobots swarmed over the Draon vessels, invisible to the human eye, yet lethal in their efficiency. Power networks failed, weapon systems malfunctioned, and communications went dark. The Draon fleet, once a perfectly synchronized engine of destruction, was now descending into disorder. Now it's our move, Locke said, his gaze narrowing. The Vanguard surged forward, its engines pushing it close to relativistic speeds. The ship's weapons came alive, unleashing a relentless hail of energy blasts and railgun slugs that tore through the crippled Draon ships. The main cannon fired a beam of pure annihilation, cleaving the Draon flagship in 2 with a single shot. The Draon tried to regroup for a counteroffensive, but it was futile. The nanobots had crippled their systems too thoroughly, and the Vanguard was already deep within their formation, a devastating force slicing through their lines. The human warship moved with lethal precision, each shot hitting its target, every maneuver outsmarting the struggling Draon vessels. The enemy fleet is collapsing, Captain Harris reported, disbelief tinged in his voice. Finish them, Locke ordered coldly. The crew executed the command without hesitation. No mercy, only the calculated annihilation of an enemy that had terrorized the galaxy for too long. The Vanguard's weapons continued to blaze, destroying ship after ship until only debris and faint echoes remained of the Draon's once mighty fleet. As the final Draon ship exploded in a dazzling burst of light, the crew exhaled collectively. They had done it. Against all odds, they had shattered the core of the Draon war machine. But there was no celebration. They all understood the mission was far from over. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from Earth Command, Harris said, breaking the silence. Patch it through, Locke commanded. The view screen flickered, revealing Admiral Graves' face. The old man looked worn, battle-weary, the weight of war etched into his features. But his eyes burned with the same fierce determination as Locke's. Captain Locke, Graves began gravely, we've received confirmation of your success. The Draon fleet is destroyed. But the matter of their homeworld remains. Locke nodded firmly. We're already en route, Admiral. The Draon will pay for their atrocities, every last one. Graves held Locke's gaze a moment longer, then nodded in approval. Good luck, Captain. Earth is counting on you. The transmission ended, plunging the crew back into silence. Locke turned to his crew, his expression as steely as ever. Prepare for the final approach, he ordered. We're going to end this. The Vanguard powered ahead, slicing through the void toward the Draon homeworld. There was no turning back now. They had drawn first blood, but the ultimate battle awaited, and Locke felt it in his core. This was the moment that would determine humanity's fate, and the fate of the entire galaxy. Ahead loomed Nara, the Draon homeworld, a forbidding dark planet encircled by dense orbital defenses and planetary shields. From orbit, the planet appeared as a churning mass of storm clouds and volcanic eruptions, a hellish landscape reflecting the savage nature of its inhabitants. This was the heart of the Draon Empire, the origin of all the suffering and devastation they had inflicted across the stars. Now that heart was about to be crushed. The Vanguard slowed as it neared the planet, weapon systems primed for the final strike. The crew was silent, every man focused on the task ahead, knowing this was the end game. They had come too far. No room remained for doubt or fear. Captain, we're within range of the planetary defenses, Lieutenant Harris reported with steady resolve. Deploy the nanite cloud, Locke ordered. From the Vanguard's hull, a massive swarm of nanites was released, shimmering as it expanded in all directions. Invisible to the naked eye, the nanites began dismantling the Draon orbital defenses, methodically taking apart massive gun platforms, missile silos, and energy turrets encircling the planet. An operation that would have required entire fleets, the Vanguard was accomplishing alone. The nanites worked with surgical precision, neutralizing every threat. "We're detecting a massive energy surge from the surface," Harris warned. "It appears they're powering up some form of superweapon." Locke's eyes hardened. "Bring us into low orbit. Prepare to engage." The Vanguard descended, skimming the upper atmosphere as it closed in on the energy spike below. The surface of Nara was a nightmare, a landscape of blackened, rivers of molten rock, twisted through a terrain marked by jagged spires, jutting skyward like the fangs of some long-extinct predator. The Dran had reshaped their home into a bastion of war, a planet designed solely for conflict. As the Vanguard drew closer to the suspected superweapon, its sensors detected an immense compound, a fortress more colossal than any structure they had previously encountered. This was the Dran's final stronghold, their last defensive sanctuary, housing a doomsday device, a planetary cannon capable of obliterating entire fleets in a single devastating strike. "Target that fortress," Locke commanded. "We take it out before they can even fire." The Vanguard's primary weapon rotated into place, its targeting array locking onto the massive structure. But before they could engage, the surface erupted in a searing column of energy. The Dran had fired. "Brace for impact," Locke bellowed. The blast slammed into the ship's shields, energy surging across the hull. The defenses held, but just barely. The sheer force of the weapon underscored the Dran's desperation, a final, furious attempt to annihilate the vessel that had brought their empire to the brink. "Shields critical, Captain!" Harris shouted. "Another hit like that and we're done." Locke clenched his jaw. "Fire the main cannon!" The Vanguard unleashed a searing beam that lanced through space and smashed into the heart of the Dran fortress. A beat of silence passed. Then the structure detonated in a firestorm, a shockwave racing across the planetary surface. The crew erupted in cheers, the enemy's ultimate weapon now a smoldering ruin. But Locke remained focused. "Captain, we've taken out the cannon, but I'm detecting massive energy signatures across the planet," Harris warned. "Looks like they've initiated self-destruct protocols." Locke's eyes widened. The Dran plan to destroy themselves and everything around them. "If the planet goes up, the blast could hit Earth if the shockwave travels far enough," he muttered. "We have to stop it," Locke ordered, voice steely. "Target the core. We need to interrupt the chain reaction." The Vanguard's weapon systems locked onto the planet's heart, buried deep beneath the surface. It was a desperate gamble. One wrong move and they could hasten the end. But hesitation wasn't an option. Firing in 3, 2, 1, the ship unleashed its payload. Energy blasts bored through the crust, striking the geothermal core that powered the Dran's apocalyptic failsafe. For a long second, nothing happened. Then the ground convulsed. Gigantic fissures tore open, spewing lava into the sky. The chain reaction had been interrupted. The planet wouldn't explode, but it was dying. Its surface fractured, cracking under the strain of a destabilized core. "We need to evacuate now," Steele urged. "She's going to implode." "Full reverse," Locke ordered. "Get us out of the blast radius." The Vanguard's engines roared as it pulled away, surging through space while behind them, Nara, the Draon homeworld, collapsed in on itself. The crust crumpled, the ground buckled, and then in one cataclysmic moment, the planet imploded. The explosion lit up the void like a false sun, sending shockwaves sweeping outward. The Vanguard was caught in the outer edges, buffeted violently, but its shields held, its engines held, and finally, the storm passed. Silence returned. The crew sat in awe, the magnitude of their accomplishment slowly dawning. The Draon homeworld was gone, along with the last vestiges of their war machine. The menace that had plagued the stars had been vanquished. At the helm, Captain Locke stared at the empty stretch of space where Nara once stood. A quiet smile tugged at his lips, a smile of hard-won victory. "It's over," he said softly. This time, the crew's cheers were deafening. Pure, cathartic release after an impossible triumph. Against all odds, against a ruthless enemy that had seemed unbeatable, they had prevailed. The Vanguard set a course for Earth. No one needed to speak. Each soul aboard understood what they had achieved. They were the ones who faced the darkness, who stood firm in the face of annihilation, and won. As the ship glided silently through space, Locke turned one last time, gazing into the void where the Draon once ruled. Then, with a resolute nod, he looked ahead, toward the future they had secured with blood, courage, and unyielding will.